Well, welcome back to the Ecosystem Show. It's another week.
Can't even. Can't even keep a straight face.
That's it, right? We have this like little silence before we get started, and everyone's waiting in anticipation. What's next? Well, welcome back for those of you that are the loyal listener that we do have, or watcher of the show. And that would be you, Nathan. Thank you for watching. We appreciate you. By the way, that word appreciate you, has that become such a big word out of America lately?
What?
Oh, I appreciate you. Oh, I appreciate this.
Oh, I appreciate you. Oh, yeah.
Oh, man, it grinds my gears.
It's meant to be a more sincere way of saying thank you.
Yeah. Well, let's just say thank you.
It's, I appreciate you. Well, but if you use more syllables, it seems more sincere because you put more effort into it.
Wow.
Oh.
It's just become such a cliche at the moment. Like, particularly what I notice it in. And I'm a bit embarrassed to say this, but love at first sight.
What is that? I still don't understand what this show is.
UK edition.
This here is the trashy dating show episode of the Ecosystem Show.
I will not watch this junk.
When they say this to each other, I appreciate you, but I'm out like, are you serious? Like, yuck.
You have no idea how often I'm going to tell you about my appreciation for you, Mark, now, regularly. I appreciate you.
Classic. So we're recording this 1 week out from all getting on planes, trains, and automobiles and flying our way to the lights of Las Vegas, where we will spend lots of money in the casino.
Mm-hmm.
We'll entertain. We'll learn about the Power Platform. We'll probably have a quiet dinner with Charles Lamanna.
Speak for yourself, pal.
What, won't be quiet? Is that what you're saying? No quiet
Yeah, that's
dinner.
pretty much it. Yeah, it's never quiet.
Have you ever been somewhere like where in public with Charles Lamanna where there's people from Microsoft land walking past, right? You can't get 30 seconds into a conversation without someone just mobbing him for a selfie. Yeah. Poor guy.
Yeah. Honestly, I feel sorry for somebody in that position, in that, because you see him take, he uses what I call the standard fig leaf pose. Have you heard of the fig leaf pose for photos? Or the fig leaf pose is where you put both hands together and you cover your balls. It's called the fig leaf pose. And it's like, it's one of those things like, if you haven't been taught about how, in photography and stuff, they teach you, if you're going to pose for something, if it's bendable, you should bend it. Have you heard that term?
Yes, actually, I have.
So, in other words, the elbow bends, bend it a bit in the pose, bend your, let your knee move a bit, not the T-Rex. But because it brings kind of gravitas to your photo, your selfie or whatever it is it's going to be.
Can we have a rule? When we are in Vegas, since all four of us will be there, that if one of us sees someone else with their hands kind of folded behind their back, that is the sign for, I need help. Please come help me with this conversation. And if anybody, if I'm talking with anyone at Vegas who sees me do that and you recognize it from the show, I will buy you a drink.
Can my one be, have you ever seen the show Talladega Nights?
The first five.
The first five. Yeah. Have you ever seen the show Talladega Nights, the movie?
No.
I mean, if you're not first, you're last.
Yeah, but he doesn't know what to do with his hands. He's just like this. Please, can you just do your whole talk like this?
It's funny that you say that, because have any of you seen Emily in Paris?
No.
Her boss, whenever she walks, she always walks with her hands kind of and she's an older lady, but always, it's weird.
That's so funny.
Is that, and I don't know if we have Anna back yet, but that might be, Emily in Paris might be the show that our 2.5-year-old is weirdly into, because I guess Emily, or one of the main characters, looks like her aunt Deanna.
She's from Chicago, Emily. Yeah, and like she's an American in Paris, and it's really good, mate. It's brilliant. Anyhow, let's get underway, because we're well underway already, and those coming to listen to the technical prowess of the people on the show are not getting anything technical. They're just getting
Nope.
chin-wagging shit. One of the things as we warm up, I'll bring to the table. A couple of weeks ago, a gentleman in Microsoft by the name of, do you remember his name? Steve Jeffrey. Steve Jeffrey. He he published on August the 20th, 2024. We're going to let Anna back in. He published a document called The Introduction to the Business Value Toolkit. And it's obviously another kit that's coming out of the CAT team. What struck me on this is that it really allows the measurement of the impact of the Power Platform inside an organization.
Yep.
Down to the apps, the automations, etc. So in other words, rather than, yesterday was published the Forrester Total Economic Impact Report for 2024 on the Power Platform, which has some numbers that totally blow away the past reports in the space, and over 200% ROI within 6 months, like some crazy numbers, right, being delivered. And then this, what I love about this toolkit is that this applies to your own environment, your own environments, your own tenants, so that you can really understand the impact. Because what I've noticed, particularly in large implementations, when internally they go to senior leadership for budget to do more in the following years of using the platform, they often don't have the folks don't have evidence of the impact that they're creating inside the organization. Like, what's the financial impact of these solutions we've deployed? What is it a cost reduction? Is it a profit increase? Did we avoid getting litigated against, if it was a compliance related thing? They've got no tooling to actually structure something that could be presented to the executive that says, hey, isn't this amazing what we've achieved in the last 12 months? Give us some more budget to do more for this great stuff.
This is something that I feel like the big community and industry has been struggling with for a long time. And it's not limited to Power Platform. I think we should get into later on in the conversation what the application of this is for AI workloads or for data products, an investment in a data platform, et cetera, and how it transfers. But I think this one of the big challenges that I've had over the years, right, is that I'm a technologist, right? I'm an architect. I am not an organizational economist. I'm not an accountant. I have no personal specialty or expertise in business value assessment. And, so I think that a lot of, and this is of course true across the industry. So there's a lot of people, a lot of organizations that have really failed to make quantitative dollars and cents, pounds and pennies, euros, and whatever hundredths of a euro are called, cents, I guess. Anyway, have failed to make these arguments because, one, many people lack the expertise, and there hasn't been a good tool. I mean, there's been this tool called Shark Finesse that those of us who have been in this for a while, know and have used. But Shark Finesse is not the most approachable thing for a novice.
Over the top, right? Isn't extreme. So extreme that people just stopped using it because it was too cumbersome in what it was doing.
Yeah.
I don't understand. I mean, I get the tooling, but like, man, my pea brain doesn't deal with that type of stuff. I think so. I get this all the time, right? Like when we talk to organizations about what is the ROI, what is the value.
Yeah.
Like I struggle with this a lot, and it's mainly because when organizations adopted tools like Microsoft Office, they didn't ROI every email they sent or every Excel they made. They didn't go, what's the ROI on this spreadsheet that I'm going to make? They just naturally assumed that, well, it's part of business productivity, so this is something we should do, right? And when email came out, they didn't go, what is the ROI of me sending this email to any of you? It wasn't a thing. It was just considered business productivity.
Yeah.
And then I get why you need to do ROI against things, but the problem that I have is that when you look at the tools like Steve has got, and I think it's a good tool, by the way, I think it's a good tool. I've seen it in action. I know how it works. I understand what he's done. I feel like this is going to be overkill, and I'll tell you why. Because every organization that's got every CFO that's got anything to do with a implementation of a platform is going to say, what is the ROI on every app or flow that you make? And you can't do that. It doesn't work. Like I get anchor apps. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. But I think that when organizations get over carried away with ROI, it becomes more of an inhibitor than anything else. And that's what I found.
Yeah, but I think you're arrogant, Chris.
Oh, is that because I refuse to sell any Power Platform solutions that haven't gone, any AI solutions that haven't gone through a governance board? I heard that was a thing as well.
Classic, man. Classic. No, what I was going to say is that, for me, in a tool like this, I'd be squarely in a team, not squealing. I would be going to my PM just as part of the delivery process or whoever the program manager is. This is a tool that you need to own and deliver the outputs back to the executive. Yeah. It's just part of doing the job type thing.
Yeah.
It's not a one-time point thing that we do.
No.
I think that tooling like that is very useful because oftentimes our job is to actually help the CTO or the CI or the CEO to show value. And they haven't got time to listen to us go on about technology and AI and about waves of adoption and enhancements and stuff like that. What they want to do is be able to have a one-pager that says, we are better than anyone else because we use this technology and the result is this much ROI. The end. That's all they want. And so having a tool for that is brilliant because for now we're making it up, right?
Yeah, I just see it allows for good storytelling, right? I just watched recently Lumen Technologies in the US. They have done a big AI piece inside the organization. It's probably one of Microsoft's hero case studies right now around Copilot implemented. And they've got some amazing stats that have come out, and the stats tell a great story, right? 4 hours saved per sales agent. That's a $54,000 per person per annum cost saving. It's just like data points like that. They ran a hackathon and saved 4,000 hours from some of the ideas that came out. It's like those dot points that business goes, whoa, this is amazing. Like, let's do more. And it's just really giving the kind of gravitas to let's keep doing more of this because these are exciting stories that have been told. And a tool like this potentially gives you those numbers.
It doesn't matter whether you're a developer or a project manager or you are the team lead or the practice lead, or it doesn't matter who you are. Having these sort of tools and being able to articulate what the results of your work are will propel your career. And that's very important, right? If we are to live in an era of even human connection, if you will, and if you want to progress and learn new skills, which we must do, we need to have. This is one of the prerequisites, I think.
Nice.
Yeah, it is. But okay, so I'm gonna agree, but I'm gonna come back with detail. How many organizations do you know you can go to and say, can you define the concept of value? Yeah, because this tool requires you to put in value concepts as like line items. Okay. And it's the same thing. Okay. My favorite one is this. I had a conversation with somebody recently. We were talking about the criticality of a solution. So I said, cool. Define criticality. Like what does critical mean to you? And they were like, well, if it creates downtime in the office, I'm like, yeah, but you can still do it manually, right? Like you can still do the thing manually. So like think about the concept of criticality and what does that mean? Now switch that over to value. Like what does value mean to you? And if you go to the CFO, value is crap loads of money saved. If you go to the CEO, retaining people and creating time. And then so you have to basically build out value concepts. And that's why this tool is cool, but it is an end product to a much bigger play here, and that play is defining the whole ecosystem before you put things into a bunch of boxes.
I've been thinking about this, and then I'll use an example from outside of tech. But One of the things that I worry about is that our society has lost, I think, in a lot of ways, the ability to make judgments as to the goodness or the badness or the usefulness or the non-usefulness or we've lost a lot of our ability or maybe a lot of our confidence in making judgments about things if we don't have some sort of study or some sort of data to prove it. And so here's a good example. Anna and I, after we record this, are going to go cycling. Okay. We love to do that. It's something that I've done for many years, and that is my exercise, right? Now, I don't need a watch with data about how many calories I burned, right, to tell me that cycling is good. It makes me feel good. It is enjoyable. It is fresh air. It is sunshine. You know what I mean? It is all of these sorts of things. But so often, and particularly in business, I think that leaders hide behind what they perceive to be a lack of data or a lack of, God has provided these figures and therefore the thing is good. And when I say hide behind it, I think that we often use this. Oftentimes when I hear someone say, well, what's the ROI of that app? Or what's the ROI of that, as Chris says, what's the ROI of that spreadsheet, right? Mm-hmm. I often hear I don't want to have to make a strategic judgment.
Yes.
So I therefore am going to invoke somehow a lack of data in order to defend my inaction in making a strategic judgment.
Love it.
So, I don't think that we should, I think that I said at the beginning, I think that this business value assessment and this ability for laypersons who don't specialize in this field to be able to measure ROI, that is 100% a good thing. But what I also think we need to be careful of is that we don't use this as yet another way to hide behind actually being leaders, right? And actually making strategic judgments. That's important.
But there's different personality types and stuff as well, right? Because that example you gave of going for a walk and a run and stuff, if I do something like that and I realize I haven't got my Apple Watch on or my Oura Ring, I'm like, did it even count? Because I didn't measure it. Like,
didn't happen.
And the thing is, I am a data-driven person, and I see those results, and I'm like, I'm going to do that again tomorrow. Like, it's a motivating thing for me. And I think and if I draw the parallel to this tool, is that I'm not talking about this tool up front in a project. I'm talking about if you have the platform as a strategic tool inside your organization.
Yeah.
And you're going to have programs of work that are going to run year after year after year. It is good that you've quantified the value that it brings, because people higher up that are not day to day, they don't know the technology, they don't know the value, and they're making a decision between this and 500 other products. I think that drives value when you can quantify what your technology is producing for the organization, as to, Bob that doesn't have any idea the value his, SAP platform or Pega platform is bringing.
I also think that it's that what Chris was saying earlier, and how hard it is to set this tool up, and how much thinking you have to do in advance. Isn't that part of strategy? So the moment you're committing to using it, you're like, okay, so now I'm going to have to do all this hard work. And if they cannot do it themselves, that's what we're consultants, right?
That's exactly it. Yeah, and that's what I was getting at. It's looking at it, and you're right. Like I wouldn't go to a company and be like, here, have the benefit, have the business value toolkit. Buy.
No.
It's kind of like,
well, that's what we did with the COE starter kit.
Yes, we did. And we screwed it up.
Have governance. This is governance. Here you go.
We screwed it up, right? Like I think with this tool, and I love, Anna, what you said there, because I go through this with customers all the time. Like I go through BVA type stuff. I go through what is ROI, what is value, what is qualitative, what is quantitative, what does it mean to you? So I sit in these change management workshops driving these types of behaviors, and we log them in Excel, right? So we're like, okay, let's put them in that Excel spreadsheet and we can track ROI against that. What I find interesting here is that, yes, it's a framework, but it's what I think is clever in this tool. It's the overlay on all of it that he's got. because he's got some very, very clever maths and
Yeah.
some AI that actually does some pretty impressive things on top of those numbers. So once you've gone through the iceberg of the bottom part of the iceberg of what is all the value nonsense, and you get to that top layer, I feel like this is where the value is in this tool.
Yeah.
And I think that the tool needs to be accompanied by, like, it needs to be paired also with an approach, right?
Yes.
So we talk all the time about anchor apps. And one of the things that I see organizations doing with Power Platform, right, is that if anything, organizations are not ambitious enough with how they use Power Platform. They make this big investment. They maybe do some work around, platform governance and getting the things set up. And then what they do is they use Power Platform for trivial or little productivity toy type apps. They don't build the anchor apps that are really necessary in order to move the needle on value. Or they say, oh, we'll build the anchor apps later. And if you look at kind of the cost curve of a composable economic strategy, which Mark, I don't know if you saw, I just covered this in a lesson I recorded for this course. It's coming out in a couple of weeks. But, anchor apps, building the anchor apps, swinging for the fences, so to speak, early on in the adoption is how you're going to drive a lot of that value and how you're going to bank a lot of that value so that you can then go build some of the, more niche use cases or the more niche type scenarios. So I would say take this tool and pair it with a strategy that front loads modernization or net new development of big anchor apps, and then measure the value not of the thing for, the finance team that no one else knows about, but use it to measure the value of the big anchor apps. That's why we call them anchor apps. They anchor your implementation of Power Platform across the ecosystem. That's the value you should measure.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. So, dude, think about it like this. I have in any Power Platform state or AI state right now, I use the concepts of t-shirt sizing from a solutioning perspective. So there are certain categories that a solutioner gets popped into, right? So if you take like 5 categories, extra small all the way to extra large, okay, pretty straightforward. So extra smalls, and mediums, like, they have certain criteria. Number one, I don't actually care where you build extra smalls. Build them in default. I don't give a damn. IT don't support your default environment, so therefore I don't care.
Correct.
Okay. Makers support their own tools. I don't care about your analytics. Sort it out yourselves. Whereas mediums, actually, that's getting onto the blurred line of this is where the process is different. So if you think about a journey that you draw for a maker, if you think about a line splitting out into 3 forks, okay, 3 prongs. The first prong is straight. It's like extra smalls and smalls in default. No one cares. Crack on and do your thing. But then you have this medium line at the top. And that's like, actually, you're building something a little bit more complex. You want to involve more team members, but you want to be doing BVA against this. You want to be saying, what is the return on investment of us spending time on this thing? So part of your maker journey is actually adding in this piece of the process. So instead of a 5-step process to productionizing something, it is now a 12-step process because you're going to go through a much more stringent set of rules. And that's where the stuff comes in.
Yeah.
So shall we? I'm looking at the clock, Mark. Shall we preview a little bit from the conference? That when this episode airs, the conference will be next week. Should we? Should we finish off that way?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that'll be great. As in, we're all excited. We're all going to be there, right?
Yeah.
All of us.
Yes. All of us.
All of us. So, Andrew, what are you thinking?
So I don't know how much we should give away, but I should say this: we've got one major piece of content or big thinking or something that folks can use in their daily work that's going to come out each day of the conference. So we've got a new white paper, Scaling Your Enterprise Cloud with Power Platform. We've been collaborating with another organization on a white paper called Ecosystem Oriented Architecture for the Public Sector.
I love it.
And then we have a bit of a surprise, but I'll say this, a framework and a model to help organizations not just get started with their artificial intelligence journey, but to also measure their maturity and to measure their progress and to really understand kind of where they are and target their investments in the most effective ways. So that has been a mammoth project, and we're really excited to release it. And then Mark's got one as well that he's been working on.
Have I got one or three?
It depends on how you want to slice it. I mean, go for it.
So one of the things we're doing under Cloud Lighthouse is getting a bunch of our IP consumable, and that is because in a lot of the events that have been presented at, people are like, yeah, but this workshop is part of a much broader way of thinking, etc. And so how do I get more? And so what we've done is set up a learn.cloud lighthouse that you can go to. And we're going to we plan to drop 3 courses next while the conference is on. And so you can go deeper into a lot of these thinkings. If you're in an architectural role and you really need to go deeper, we've got 3 courses, which are just small ones to start with, but they're leading into some very deep thinking, precise thinking around ecosystems and around AI strategies, which are not product-centric, but really much more broader in empowering you in the way you think about projects, solutions that you're going to implement, etc.
Well, and I feel like we've been talking about training for ecosystem architects for so long now that we're finally doing it. We can the first courses have been recorded, so they're on their way.
Yeah.
Hooray.
So
that was
dropping
the
them in
Self-5
for
It
anyone.
was a Self 5. You
Self
can't
5s
see
are
it.
cool.
Self 5.
Self 5s.
Love it. Self 5. I like it.
Yeah. High respect, man.
So, looking forward to it. Love to get your feedback. If you're at the conference, come and see us. Come say hi. Come and if you hit me up and say, hey, I heard your ecosystem show there and you promised to buy me a drink, I will buy you a drink if you come up and tell me that. Looking forward to seeing you all.
Is that an open invitation or just the first 5?
Just the first. No, it's an open invitation.
10. It's an open invitation.
It's an open invitation. Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Oh, I tell you what, I did something just to wrap with. I like to buy motivation. Have you ever heard this concept of buying motivation?
No.
You mean like you go buy a new backpack? I mean, because that's what I do when I want to get motivated.
Dude, you and your backpacks.
It's a problem.
It is a problem.
So this is what I did. There's a lady that I follow in the AI space, and there's so much around AI, and there's so much snake oil and stuff out there, and everybody's got a new AI product, and this lady is on the Forbes 30 under 30 or whatever. She's exited her first AI business already, and she's 29 years old, and she just gives away tons and tons of the way she's thinking about stuff. And so she dropped this video that said, I've never been on social media, but 100 days ago I joined social media. And she goes, I just 100 days later hit 100,000 followers from a standing zero start. Right? All she did was, this was her model. Every day I'll post at least 1 video, but I'll try to do 5 videos a day. Hence why you're seeing me drop these videos, because this is what I did. I'm like, man, this is a great idea. 100 videos in 100 days, but potentially 500 videos in 100 days, right? 5 a day. And so I was like, damn, I'm going to do that. Like, it was just like an instant, like, I'm going to do that. So I'm going to face the camera. It's a new way of doing stuff. I'm going to give that a crack.
Yeah.
And I was like, let's buy some motivation. So I went to a WhatsApp group that I have of the alumni community that have been through the 90-day mentoring challenge, right? And so over 1,200 people have been through the 90-day mentoring challenge. So there's a few people in there. And so I said, I will give $1,000 to anybody, the first person that points out the first day that I miss posting a video in the next 100 days.
That's genius.
See, that's buying motivation.
That's genius. I think that's really clever.
And also expensive.
Right? I don't want to give away $1,000. So, man, I get up in the morning, I'm like, bang, what am I going to do today? What's my video going to be on? Like,
oh my God, I find social media to be so overwhelming and so exhausting. There's no way.
But the thing is, for me, it's not the social media. I'm getting a new skill, right? Which is being able to make sure that you can communicate a concept in a very short amount of time and do it in a way that connects with the other person.
I'm out.
And that's, it's not about being verbose, right? It's been about absolutely concise, terse, to the point. So yeah, it's a skill I want to develop, and I'm just
whilst also not being Gen Z.
I don't think that anyone is watching Mark's videos thinking, "Look at that Gen Z guy. Look at that Gen Z."
What I mean is that you didn't necessarily learn this in school, or you didn't have to do. You weren't in the Snapchat generation where you had to like summarize a thing in 30 seconds or less. Yeah. You're not doing TikTok every day, and it's like super easy for you. It's hard. These things are hard. It's a new muscle. I was just reading this article that was saying that we should all look for new jobs, because jobs are changing all around us, even if you aren't changing your jobs. So I thought that was a very, very interesting concept. So I guess it ties a little bit into what you're saying. It's just building a new skill. Potentially a very expensive way of building a new skill, but there we are.
Yeah. Only if I don't deliver, right? Anyhow, love you all. See you next time.
See you.
Later, dudes.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.